Hi, this is Gary with MACMOST.com. Let's take a look at using overlays in iMovie. So iMovie is one of the simplest video editors out there. And that's always been its purpose, to be really simple and easy to use so you can merge a bunch of clips together, add a few effects, and produce a video. But there's one feature in iMovie that goes beyond that and attempts to add some of the pro level features to iMovie, but without a ton of different controls to learn. And that's overlays. What overlays allow you to do is to put a second video on top of the first, but in a few different ways. So let's start off here with an empty iMovie project. I'm going to drag a video into the main timeline here. Now, typically what you would do with another video is you would add it afterwards, and then it would go from one video to the other, taking two clips, making them into one movie. But instead, if you put it on top of the first clip, you could add it as an overlay. The first clip down here, the one that appears slightly larger, that's the main timeline, and you can continue to add more videos after it. The clip above it, that's the overlay. Notice that there is a little line that links one to the other, so when you move the clip in the main timeline, the overlay that's linked to it stays put. Now, the most basic thing that an overlay does is replace the video below it. So if you see here, if I have the line before the overlay appears, I see the main clip in the main part of the timeline, and then the overlay replaces it. Let's shorten the overlay here, and you could see that if you go beyond where the overlay is, you go back to the main clip. Now, this is really handy if the main clip includes the audio you want to keep, like perhaps you're narrating this, or maybe it's video of you talking. Now, the overlay makes the visual part go to that video, but yet you still hear the audio from the main timeline. In fact, you'll hear both, but you could always lower the audio here in the overlay. Or with the main clip selected, you can go to the audio for the main clip and select lower volume of other clips and adjust it there. So even if you've got more than one overlay on top of this one, like you keep going to various different clips while the main timeline is just this one video of you talking, the audio in the overlays will lower automatically. If you find these videos valuable, consider joining the more than 3,000 others that support MACMOST at Patreon. You get exclusive content, course discounts, and more. You can read about it at macmost.com/Patreon. Now, when you select the overlay, you can click this special button here that gives you the ability to change the overlay. So you've got some various settings here. The main one is to choose what type of overlay it is. There are actually 4 different kinds. So far, we've been looking at the default, simplest one, Cutaway. It simply cuts from the main timeline to the overlay video and then back again. You can change the opacity so you can have it be semi-transparent if you want. You could also change the fade, and notice you see the fade dots here, and you can adjust those as well. You can even hold the Option key and then have one be longer than the other. So you can have it fade in and then fade out. Now, the non-obvious thing here is that you don't have to use a video for the overlay. You can use a photo. So if you just want to show a photo, you can drag the photo in just like you would drag in a video here, adjust the timing, and this is just a static photo here. It has the same controls as before, it's just not a video. Sometimes having a video on the timeline and then a series of photos as overlays is a really good way to make a slideshow. Now let's look at the second kind of overlay, and that's a green screen. So if you've shot some video in front of a green screen, like here I film myself in front of the green screen I use every day, then you can cut out the green part by setting the cutaway to green blue screen. It'll automatically figure out what's behind you, whether it's green or blue, and cut it out like this. You can adjust the softness. You can clean up by using this tool here and cut out portions of what's behind you. So for instance, if you could see a bit of my desk showing in the bottom left corner, I can actually cut it out so it doesn't show anything here. You could also use the eraser tool here to further refine the green screen by selecting areas that are kind of showing through, and it will make sure it erases those. And even though it doesn't show a fade here, you do have it here in the timeline. So you can have the green screen fade in like that and then fade out again. Now, a third type of overlay is the split screen. So I'm going to add back this video here and it will appear as a cutaway, but I'm going to change that to split screen. And you can see, I see the middle of the main timeline on the left and the middle of the cutaway here on the right. But you can change this. So you can be right instead of left. You can be top and bottom or bottom and top. You can also have a slide effect. So now you can see if you adjust the timeline, it slides in the overlay and it will slide out as well. Now the most powerful kind of overlay is the picture-in-picture overlay. So you start off the same way. Bring the overlay in and I'm going to select it and then change it to picture-in-picture. Now I've got a ton of options. So the default one is to actually place the cutaway as a small video at the top right corner. But you could drag it anywhere you want. So you could put it in the top left corner if you want. You could also drag any one of the corners to enlarge or shrink it like that. You've got a lot of other options as well. For instance, you can add a border around it, a thicker border. You could add a shadow. You can take a new color and you could set a fade in and fade out. In this case, I'm using the default dissolve. You can use the dots here to adjust it as well as set the time right here. So it can dissolve in like that. But there's so much more you can do. For instance, you can animate it. You can move it around. It doesn't have to stay in one spot. So you select the picture-in-picture here. Now, it's got to be set to the standard dissolve here. You can't use one of these other ones. We'll look at those in a minute. But you can use one of the borders and a shadow and all of that. And you'll see the keyframe controls here. So you can position the playback head where you want it. I'll start here and I'll click the keyframe there to set a keyframe. Then I'm going to move somewhere else, like here, and I'll create another keyframe there. And I'm going to move this somewhere else, like at the bottom right corner here. And now, as I scrub between these, you can see it goes to the position indicated by the keyframes. You can easily use these controls here to jump to the specific keyframe. So you can change them or remove them like that. Now, like with all the other cutaways, you can use a photo or a graphic for this. I'm going to bring in a graphic here that I created in Pixelmator Pro that's just transparent. It has no background. So now it appears as a cutaway here, but if I change it to picture-in-picture, now it appears here at the top. You're going to want to make sure that your cropping is set to fit like that for this cutaway. And now you've got this nice little symbol, which is kind of cool. You can kind of add it popping onto the page. You know, use an arrow, a thumbs up, some other little indicator, anything you want. Make a graphic in your favorite graphics app. As long as it's semi-transparent, you can use it as an overlay like this. But you could also use it with keyframes. So I can do a keyframe here, and then I can move perhaps to here and add another keyframe like that. And now I'll animate between those two keyframes. So you could have this be basically something that follows along using multiple keyframes, a path. So imagine it being a circle or an arrow or a box that basically covers a part of the image and moves around based on the keyframes you set. With a little work, you can do a lot of advanced stuff using semi-transparent graphics as picture-in-picture overlays and multiple keyframes. But there are other modes for picture-in-picture overlays. For instance, if I were to change from dissolve to zoom, then what happens here, then the picture-in-picture zooms in from out of the frame like that. Now I can also use swap. That is picture-in-picture, but setting to swap right here. And what it's going to do is it's going to take the picture-in-picture and swap it with the video behind it. Now, the preview doesn't really show it very well, but when you export, you'll see the real result. So here's the resulting video, and you can see it does export it correctly, putting the main timeline video as the picture-in-picture and picture-in-picture as the background. Now here's some extra tips. You can use an overlay, like let's use green screen here as an example, and you can apply another effect to it. Matter of fact, you can use all the color adjustments, cropping, everything here on this overlay. So I'm going to apply a simple clip filter like this, and you can see how it affects the green screen video, but not the video that's in the main timeline. Here's one I'm going to put in that's going to be picture in picture. And you could do the same thing here. You can go in and apply an effect to it like that. And you can see the effect applied to just the picture in picture part. And also, if you want to use any of this, but you don't want to actually have another video behind it, you've got backgrounds. You can go into backgrounds here and add a background. You can keep it something really simple. Like for instance, I'll just use a gray background here, but I can now put any overlay over that. So I can put, say, this video here over it and change it to, say, picture in picture, and you can see it appears on top of that background. Or maybe more usefully, I can put the green screen here and I can apply the green screen effect to it as a cutaway like that. So you don't always need to have video behind. You can use a photo that you've got, maybe a graphic that you've made up, or you can use any of the backgrounds that come with iMovie as a background with an overlay on top of it. Now, using all these different techniques and combining them with other videos you've got, graphics that you make in graphics apps, you can really do a lot in iMovie without needing to go to a more advanced Pro app like Final Cut Pro. Hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching. Want to know about every new MACMOST video each week? Sign up for the absolutely free MACMOST email newsletter at macmost.com/newsletter.